going to Bob Chapman. Bob, good to have you here with us, theinternationalforecaster.com.
Well, thank you very much, and here I am again on Friday.
Out of the gates, I'm sure you've seen it. What do you think of the state police federally written document that basically says that anybody that supports the Second Amendment, buys gold, believes in the North American Union, flies an American flag, you name it, is a terrorist?
It's incomprehensible, but it is what to be expected from the people who control our federal government, at least. And it's going to go on, and it's going to continue to go on, and it's going to get worse. I
know it's backfiring, though, with the police, because they've been educated like the general public, and they know all of this is real, and then they're being told that the Libertarian Party, Ron Paul, Bob Barr, anybody with a bumper sticker, they're terrorists. I mean, that's just not going to work.
No, I think you're right about that, and it's a loss in credibility by the people who are shoving this down their throats. And quite frankly, it's good for us. But they're not going to give up. Again, they've got the police in the middle. And anybody who works at a government job or under a government contract in a bank or brokerage house, an insurance company, they got them all up against the wall. They're trying to squeeze them. And it is not going to work. People will go so far and they'll say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that anymore. And they're pushing the police, you might say, first, so to speak. And I don't think the police are going to rebel. They're just going to say, hey, look, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. That's wrong.
Absolutely. Have you had a chance to read the state police document yet?
No, I have not.
Well, we even called the state police, got the names of the officers, got them to admit that it's a real document. It mirrors many others we've seen. Lieutenant John Hotz, H-O-T-Z, wouldn't give us his first name. The other guy was Captain Hull, just Captain Hull, with the Missouri Office of MIAC. And people are still trying to deny it's even real. Even though we put out their names and phone numbers, you can call them. What do you think about that level of denial, Bob?
I think they're frightened. Again, I think they're frightened more than anything else about their job. Again, they're in a vice, and the federal government's trying to shove something that's ridiculous down their throats to be laid upon the public, and they like their jobs. They are devoted to their careers, most of them, and some of them are very, very fine people, and they're frightened. I don't think they know what to do. It's a great intellectual challenge. And, if they step out and say, goodness gracious, we can't do this, the federal government's going to come down on them like a ton of bricks. So they try to stay in the shadows, trying to stay out of harm's way.
Yeah, I had one state police officer send me a letter saying that just because he talked about Ron Paul and the Constitution during the campaign, Homeland Security came in and interviewed him to basically ask if he was a terrorist.
Well, that's what they can expect from the federal government and the people who control it. And push is going to come to shove. I think the sovereign state movement could bring that to a head. It's probably one of the most powerful things that's happened in years. And if enough states get behind this thing, then I think Washington is going to have serious problems.
Well, take Madagascar. The government was clearly oppressing the population, so the public rebelled, and the government was going through with the military killing pockets of citizens, and then overnight in the last 2 days, the military turned against the government and is now marching with the people to overthrow that island nation's leadership, which has been very stable the last few decades. So, they're very, just like Romania with Ceausescu, they're very, very worried about their own enforcers waking up. I mean, we have a bunch of Bernard Madoff criminals running the banks, openly looting us of $9.7 trillion, openly collapsing the economy by design. The police are figuring that out, and the system is trying to brainwash them against liberty because criminals run the federal government. So, of course, the criminals are going to tell their enforcers that the good people that are trying to bring the criminals to justice are bad.
Well, I think the cover-up on Madoff is so obvious. They allow him to stay in his apartment, and then he admits to certain crimes. I guess there were 11 charges, and now he's going to go off to prison. He'll be sentenced here shortly. And my guess is after he's in there a year or two, they'll find a reason to let him go for some sort of thing. But the most important thing is he and the court and the government and Wall Street are covering up for hundreds of other people who were involved. And where did all the money go?
Well, they're saying one man ran a $50 to $100 million Ponzi scheme, and they don't know where the money is. Yeah, one guy ran it, sure.
Yeah, impossible. I mean, I was in the brokerage business in Wall Street for 28 years, and that doesn't happen. And everybody knows what goes on. Believe me, that's a very close business, just like anything else, like advertising or insurance. And, everybody knows each other. You have your trade organization, so to speak, traders associations, stockbroker associations. And so you don't do something that you're not supposed to do without other people knowing.
Well, now all these other Ponzi schemes for $5 billion, $10 billion, $20 billion are popping up right here in Texas with all these people tied into intelligence and George Bush and Israel.
That's right. You're absolutely right. And I've been getting some real strong intel. It's coming out tomorrow in the Forecaster about, things to do with Israel and some of the things that they're involved in. I'm sure you saw and maybe have talked about Mr. Freeman, who gave up the possibility of having being head of the National Security Council because he had said objective things previously, and the Israeli lobby got him disqualified, so to speak.
All right, stay there. Let's talk about the economy when we get back. All right, the OECD, that is what people know as the Marshall Plan, is the big holding group of the New World Order that bankrupts the third world countries all over the planet and sucks the cash in. They're now running around Luxembourg, Switzerland, Austria, and many other countries, just terrorizing them, saying, we will selectively tell you whose Swiss bank accounts to turn over to us. And it's all the smaller, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, because we've seen them seize 50-something thousand accounts from UBS, one of the biggest Swiss banks. Now, that sounds big, but all the big money's left alone. More selective enforcement by these guys, by these Madoffs that run everything. Bob Chapman, your take on all this?
Well, I think it's an effort to, in time, whittle down the bank secrecy in all of the countries that have it. And what they also do, and I have seen them do firsthand in places like Bermuda, the Bahamas, and Caymans, they will go to the elected personnel in that country and they will tell them in terms that they understand that if you don't do what we want you to do, we cut off all your communications, all of your internet, all your postal facilities coming into the country, your access to banking in the United States, which is, of course, a key point, and we'll make sure that you don't get any more tourists, and we'll pay you X amount of dollars for doing this. And that's exactly what happened in the Bahamas, because I lived there. And I know all the players, and I know how it happened, and so that's what they do, and they've done that to Andorra and Liechtenstein and Austria and Switzerland and Liechtenstein, and so they want to put them out of business. They want people to be able, they want to be able to access the assets of every person in the world. And the reason why is that they think it belongs to them. This is the sociopathic mindset. And they will continue to pursue that until they win or they get destroyed. And if you put all these other things together that are going on, like we just discussed about the police and everybody being terrorists, it isn't going to work. And you've said that yourself, and I believe that. I think we're going to win and win big. It might be very painful. It'll be very interesting to see what Switzerland does next. Now, What the U.S. government has been doing secretly, and this will come out later, is that the Treasury has been selling Treasury paper, bonds, bills, notes, to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve makes money out of thin air and pays the Treasury, immediately monetizing the money, making it inflationary as the U.S. government puts it into the market for whatever, or into the economy. At the same time, the Fed takes the bonds and either lends them out or sells them into the market, monetizing them, which is very inflationary. Now, what the Swiss have done in the last couple of days is started to do the same thing that the U.S. government has been doing.